Okay. Hi there. This is Pam from Around the Table Yarns, if you're watching this after the fact. And this is our final session on the African flower animals. People are doing different ones based on the patterns by Heidi Bears. The one that I've been working on is Jedi, the giraffe. And I've got his rear section done here. The previous video, I showed how to do the join as you go as we started the legs. The method works very well, but there are a couple little things you need to watch out for as you're joining some of these pieces, because you're just joining and continuing to build it as you go. Hence the name Join as you go. So I just wanted to give, we had some people come in this week who had gotten stuck and things weren't working out. So I thought maybe their errors could be your boom, and we could show how to do some of this. So I'm just going to pull out one of these. Pieces that I put in, and we'll put it back in. All right, so we talked about doing the legs last week, and we had joined, we had two separate legs put together, and then we joined them with with a little square patch, which she calls the little bum patch, right here. And then you build on adding the different pieces from there. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that with one of the octagons that you need. So as this gets built, we've got the two back legs, and here we're coming across the back of the giraffe. So if you envision the top of the back legs, on the sides is where your octagons are going to go. They're like the waist of the giraffe that are going to build up. So you've got one on each side, which is why you need two octagons. So this has many more sides to join and kind of goes into a weird shape. I'm going to attach an octagon into this empty space here. And I thought this could maybe answer some of the questions, because you're not just joining two pieces or three pieces, you're joining several pieces. And that's where some of the mistakes or errors were being made. So hopefully this will be helpful. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show this part of the pattern first. So you can see where we are. Let's see, scroll down. Okay, so she gives these really great diagrams. And I just want to point out some of the really useful bits here. So too far, too fast. So it's done in sections. Okay, here we are. So I'm at the joining. Let's see. I've joined the legs. I've joined the hips. And here we're going to join. We've added our rump. And here we're going to add the waist, the octagons. So this is the section I'm on. Let me make it a little larger here. She has you folding this, and she shows you how to fold it. And then here's the octagon here that we're gonna add. So she's got these colored bars on each side. The side of the African flower is from apex to apex, where you're making the two into one. That's what's considered a side. So we're going to attach four sides of this octagon onto these four sides here. So the green to the green, the yellow to the yellow, the turquoise to turquoise, and purple to purple. Okay. And then when that is finished, we're going to finish just the rest of the octagon in the finishing round so that we can join something to that later. And if you look at the next picture, this is what it looks like when it's done. So we joined one side here, 2, 3, the fourth side is kind of bent underneath here. And then it was just finished the other four sides of the octagon without joining it to anything. Okay? And that's done on both sides. So now let me go to how that translates to what we're actually doing. My camera. Oops. So here's the one I'm about to add. So we've got, she shows you how to fold it. So we've got our leg here. This is kind of our hip and coming across the top of the back. And here's the belly that's in between here, the legs. So we're going to join one side of the belly to one side of a leg, to one side of the kind of the hump, to one side of the back. And we're going to work this wobbly little piece in there like that. Now, every piece of every African flower that you're joining, just you're always going to start each one the same way. It doesn't matter which, you're doing a hexagon, a pentagon, a heptagon, an octagon. You're always going to start a few stitches without joining. And those stitches are always going to start. I'm going to pull it out so I can do it with you. You can choose anywhere on here you want to in the first single crochet after the spike stitch. Okay, you're always going to start right there. Let me put my slip knot on. Okay, so I can pick any one here. And I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the first single after any spike stitch. And then I'm going to chain 3. You could also, if you like, you could do a standing double crochet in there if you find that easier, right? And now I'm going to do all of the stitches I need to do before I make an apex. And in the African flower, that is, there are 7 in between the 2 spike stitches. So I'm going to do a total of 3. My chain 3 counts as 1. Make a double into the next stitch. That's 2. One more, that's 3. And then it's time to start an apex, which means 2 doubles into the same stitch. Now, if you're not joining this to something and you're making an apex, you put a chain 1 in between those 2 doubles. If you are joining it, the slip stitching counts as the chain 1. So I'm going to make the first double of this apex. And if you're looking at her pictures, she always shows it right side up, but you know, you've got to turn it around so you can crochet it in, okay? So here's my opening that it's going to go into. And I'm going to start over here. I'm starting an apex here. I need to join it to an apex on this first side here. So I'm going to find the apex, which is where I've got 2 coming out of the same, and it's got a chain 1 in between. I am going to slip stitch into that chain 1 space from the front. Now I've made the first stitch of the apex over here. Oh, I'm in the right place. Slip stitch to join. Now I can make the second stitch of my apex on my octagon. And then I can continue to slip stitch to join into the next space. So I've already joined into the space between in this apex. So I'm going to go into the next space. And remember, you're joining in between the posts. You're not going into the top of the stitch, you're going in between the posts. And slip stitch. If you do a bunch of these all in a row, it becomes, get all your pieces made and then do a bunch of joining at one time. It goes pretty quick this way. All right, and then another double. And I'm going to double and join until it's time to make another apex. And I will know it's time to make another apex once I've gone past this spike stitch and I do 3 more doubles, then I know it's time to do another apex. And that apex will tie in right into this corner. And I'll show you how to join into a place where we already have 3 pieces joined together, okay? So what's important here as I work across is whichever part of the pattern you are joining, and this is a good time to show you one more thing, hold on. I have put it down in the middle, and now I'm trying to remember, have I done the slip stitch or have I done the double? It sometimes can be hard to see. I found the easiest way to tell, look at the wrong side. If your working yarn is coming out of the joining side, then you've done the slip stitch. If it's not coming out of the joining side, then you've only done the double and you are ready to slip stitch. That is the easiest way to tell if you're not sure, okay? Flip that back over. So it was coming out of the joining side. I'm ready to make a double. Tighten that up. Know, whichever piece you're working on, know how many sides you need to join for this particular piece. So this one I'm joining, I found that I was joining either too many sides or not enough sides. So this one I need to join 4 sides together. But every piece is going to be a little different depending on where you are in the body. Sometimes you're only joining 1 side together. Sometimes you're joining 3. So just kind of keep track. If you find yourself getting confused, you can put a stitch marker here. You can count your sides and put a stitch marker that tells you when to stop. And then you can just kind of go as you go. And then when you get there, you're not wondering if you've gone too far or not far enough. So that's one tip I will tell you, is to put a stitch marker where you need to stop. Okay, so I just did the top of the spike stitch. So I'm going to do 3 more doubles with slip stitching to join. 1. And I'm already attached here. This is a good, there's plenty of room to fudge this a little. Whoops, split my yarn. I did find myself looking, I've got to do 3 doubles and join them. Oops, let me just do that part over. I've got to do 3 doubles before I start my next apex, which I know is going to get joined into this apex right here. So I know I'm going to be using a space before it, a space before it, and a space before it. So the 3 doubles will join 1, 2, 3. And you will start to recognize that if you're doing a bunch at the same time. So here's the first one. Now I'm going to be all thumbs. It was just gliding through earlier. Keep catching the other part of it. There it goes. 1 double. 2 doubles. I have one more double to join, so I should have one more space before the apex, and I do. If you find you've got too many spaces because you skipped one or you did two and too many, either pull it back or just fill it in. Do two in one space if you need to. I've done that in several places and you absolutely cannot tell. So don't let that stop you or slow you down. Okay, easy to fudge. All right, so let me look on the back. I have slip stitched. I'm ready to make a double. And this is the third double before an apex. Put that through. So make the first leg of an apex. And I'm going to slip stitch it to the apex that I've been of the side I've been joining to already. Okay, that's the first step. So I'm going to go into there from the front, pull it through. Now, before I go and I make the second leg of this apex over here, I am going to slip stitch into the apex of the next side I'm going to be joining. I'm not so worried about this one over here because those sides are already joined. I'm going to look at this one here. There's the apex right there. So I'm going to slip stitch over there. And this is what keeps your joining corners nice and tight. So now I've slip stitched over there. And now I can make the second leg in the same space of this apex. Go through. And then I will slip stitch to join in the next empty space, which is right here. So when you've got a bunch of them joined together, it can start to get a little crowded. What I realized I was doing is, if this was the last side I was joining and I was making my apex over here, and then I was just going to be finishing this off without joining, you don't need to do this second slip stitch. You can make the second double after you've done your slip stitching into the corner. You make the second leg of the apex, but don't slip stitch it over to the side. Just keep working, and that will leave the corner space open. This is very tight here because I didn't do that, and it was kind of hard to find the space. I actually went ahead and I slip stitched into the next space, so I'm kind of having to reach back to get to the corner space. So what I realized, I was doing an extra step I didn't need to. If I was done with my joining and I was just finishing this off, I would not slip stitch this last leg of this apex. I would just keep going around. But I do have another side to join, so I am going to slip stitch it back over here. Whoop. Like I said, it's really tight. I'm kind of having to reach because I didn't do that right the first time. So I'm going to fudge it a little. I'm going to bring it a hair closer, because no one will know but me, and now you, and anybody else watching. But it won't show on the animal. Okay, now I can slip stitch. And now I'm working the second side. I'm joining the second side. And into the next space. Okay, so it looks like I've hit the top of my, sorry, it's my spike stitch. So I know I've got 3 more doubles. Okay. And join. Let's make sure this is all going to work out. So I'm going to join 1, 2. All right, so I've done something wrong, and I'm actually quite glad because now I can show you. So I don't have enough spaces here, or I skipped one, or maybe it's because I had to do this reaching from back here. But I have to make 3 doubles, and then my apex will join right here. But I only have 1, 2 spaces to join to. I'm not ripping anything out here. So I am going to join this one into the same space I've already joined to keep the bulk from getting in the corner. Then I'm going to make my second one, and then I'll go on to the next space. And then I'm going to make my third one, and I'll go into the last space before the apex. And then we're going to look to see how that looks. I don't think there's a little extra loop here because I didn't pull tight, but you can't tell that I kind of fudged that in, and it's going to fit just fine. Okay. So now so don't let that slow you down or make you redo anything. Very forgiving. So now I'm ready to make an apex here on the octagon. So there's the first double. I'm going to go into the apex of the side I've been joining to and slip stitch. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the apex of the new side I'm going to be joining to. This one I did right. And then I'm going to make my second leg. And she does show this in that appendix of the pattern about when you're joining when there's already a joining in there on how to do that. And then I can join into the first space after. Whoops. And keep going around. So I started, I made a bunch of the shapes, and then I started putting together, and I didn't have all the shapes made. So then I stopped. I definitely think if you can make all your shapes and then do your join as you go, because you'll having what you need and getting into the rhythm of doing this all at one time is a lot easier. And it actually goes pretty darn quick. I did all of this in about 20 minutes today. So just having had the pieces already made. All right, so I've made the top of that spike stitch. So I'm just going to look ahead and see if I've done correctly here. I have to make 3 more doubles. So I should have 3 spaces to slip stitch before the apex. So 1, 2, 3, and there's the apex. So this one I've done correctly. So that's just a good way to kind of making sure you're on track. But if it's not right, you can fudge it in. Don't let that, if you're really off, then for sure. But if you're one spot off, don't worry about it. It's easy to work it in. First leg of our apex on the octagon, slip stitch into the apex of the side we're working on, slip stitch into the apex of the side we're moving to, always from the front, and then make the second leg of your new apex. Okay, so far I have joined 1, 2, 3 sides. I've got 1 more side to join in this octagon according to my pattern. So I've done the double. I need to slip stitch into the first space. Oops. Mm. Oops. And those spike stitches I found, I really watch for those because that tells me to slow down. I've got otherwise I would just keep doing doubles across and joining and forget to, you know, it looks like you can just keep going and going and going. There's stitches forever, but these are actual sides and we do have to stop. So seeing that spike stitch is my reminder that I've got another apex coming up. Okay, so let's slip stitch over here. And then top of the first single. And a slip stitch. 2, and a slip stitch. And 3, and a slip stitch. Perfect. After the next one is the apex. Now remember, now we've joined 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. A side is always from an apex to an apex. So I'm ready to make a new apex here. So I'm going to do the first double. And I'm going to slip stitch it to join into the apex here. I don't have any more. I'm done with my side, so I don't have another piece. So I can go ahead and make my second leg of the apex. I do not need to slip stitch that to anything. I can just finish the flower. 1, 2, and I'm gonna, you're doing the exact same thing, you're just not slip stitching it to join. Top of the spike stitch, so I've got 3 more. 1, 2, 3. This part goes so fast without the joining. Here's the first leg of the apex. Since I'm not slip stitching to join, I got to put a chain 1 and then put the second leg in. All right, and now I'm going to make, so there's the 5th side. So I'm going to finish this whole octagon, which is creating the side for something else to join to it. There's the top of the spike stitch. So 1, 2, 3, apex leg 1, chain 1, apex leg 2. There's the 6th side. And then it's always 4 more stitches till you get to your spike stitch. 2, 3. Top of the spike is there. So now 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Make your apex. Chain 1, back on the same space. That's the 7th side. And since we started this flower halfway through a side, we're just going to complete the 8th side of this octagon. And we'll slip stitch to join in the top of the chain 3. So we should have 4 more to make. 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into the top. And here's how I've been finishing it off is, and I had already cut my yarn before, is I've been pulling it through. And then I've been coming in between the stitches to pull the yarn to the back. Hopefully not splitting it like I just did. And then I've got my beginning yarn and my ending yarn, which you can either weave away if you want to, but we talked about this last time. It's going to be the inside of a stuffed animal. I'm all about knots. So I'm going to take my two ends here. I'm tying it in a secure knot, but I'm not pulling it super tight because I don't want to distort that edge. But I am going to tie it in a nice secure knot. One more for good luck. And then I was cutting it rather short here, but as you can see, when you do that, when you're trying to join, those little ends pop up. So I'm going to leave it a little longer just so I can let those ends hang down and they don't get in my way. And I'm never going to see that. So now I've got my octagon joined. It's all wonky because we don't have the other sides joined. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I finished the octagon. Okay. The next part of this pattern, I have my pattern open here, so on the side, so I can see. Actually, I could show you. Let's do that. So we did this on both sides. So we added our octagon. And then the next part, here she's showing you how to add the other octagon in. I love how she shows you the before and then the after. So you can see, yes, in fact, I do need to finish all of that off all the way around. Okay. So then the next part is going to be joining a heptagon, which I realized I had not made yet. I was starting to make, and that's going to be going onto the top. Here are the two octagons. You'll notice these numbers, the 8 and the 8 are telling me those are octagons, and I have a pentagon on top. I'm going to be joining 3 sides of this 7-sided to bring one side of an octagon, one side of a pentagon, and one side of an octagon together. And when you're done, it will look like this. So I think if you just go step by step and keep in mind, all right, this one I'm joining 1, 2, 3 sides, and then I'm finishing it off. Knowing where you are and what's, how many sides you need to join at one time will keep you from going too far or having to pull out or redo or something like that. So then this is what you're going to end up with from the side view after you've joined that. So, these are lengthy patterns, but boy, she really shows you step by step. So that's the whole back end. Once I get that heptagon done, the whole back end is done. And then you're going to join the front legs and the chest motifs. And she tells you, here's what you need for that. You need 6 hexagons, 4 pentagons, 2 hexagons and 2 pentagons per leg, and 2 hexagons for the chest. The section is photo heavy because the front legs need to be joined in a very specific order. So she's got very clear photos here of what you're doing. Okay. So it's done a little bit differently than the back legs. So just go step by step and watch these marks so that you know what you're joining and what you're joining to. So you've got a 6-sided, you're only joining one side here. And then step by step, you'll add all the pieces in that you need. Okay, let me stop that. So let me scroll down to the bottom here. So you're going to go step by step through your Ingrid, I think, has just a few pieces. So hers is not quite as lengthy, but it's all done the same way. And just knowing how many sides you need to do at one time is really what you need to focus on. What I was hoping to get to, and it just didn't happen, was the accoutrements. So what I'm planning to do after Thanksgiving, because I've got to make some mac and cheese and cook some turkey before Thanksgiving, is after Thanksgiving is I'm going to record these bits separately on how to make the ears, the little horns, and what I really love is the little how you make the tail and the mane. So I want to work through that and make sure everything about this has been straightforward, but I'll video how to do that, and then I'll put that video up as well. Again, if you're local, come in and we'll do it together, but I think it's so cute how the mane comes out. So I really want to, it's so cute. I really want to make sure I get that part right. I didn't want to rush through it. So I'll do that on a separate video, not as a Zoom call. I'll just record it when I get it done. These were the appendixes I was talking about that we talked about last time. Very clear diagrams on how to join if you've got two sides, if you're just joining one side to one side, how you do it, okay? You start here, you do those first 3 stitches, and you start your apex, and you join, slip stitch and join all the way across. And then you don't join this last, the last stitch of the apex, and then you finish the motif all the way around back to where you started. Then she's got another one that if you've got 2 pieces already joined together, that's what these little black stitches are, how you work that. So you join to the first, when you get to the apex, you join here, then you slip stitch over to the other side, and then you continue on and continue on. And then I think she's got one more when you're joining different sides as well. So you can, she's got everything you need to do, everything you need to finish this off. It's just knowing where to look. Does anybody have any questions? I was hoping I covered any hiccups you might find along the way. Did you have a question, Rocky?
Oh, I think I just have to do some more squares or
Right.
flowers, and then I think I'll be in there.
Okay, good. So I think having them all done, and then just, it really doesn't take very long, piece by piece. I mean, I had my legs done. The rest of this I did in about 20 minutes today because I had the pieces done. I was like, oh yeah, I really should have gotten all those done ahead of time. Best laid plans, you know. But I think he's going to be awfully cute.
It's going to be cute, really cute.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording here.